Due to the unpredictability of Lexer's behavior, listener discretion is advised. The VoT Network presents the Voices of Terminus Show with your hosts, Yarnilla, Lexer, and Joshua.
Welcome to the Voice of Terminus Show, everybody. You got a half-dead Yarn here. Yeah, and then you have Josh. Say hello, Josh.
Oh. Bugs.
And then we have Lex with us. Say hello, Lex.
What's up, people?
And in the background we have the wonderful Shy. Say hello.
Hello.
And our guest today is Loxxulus. We'll be sitting down with him during his player Q&A. Asking him some questions. Yep, there's a hello. But before we kick into the show itself, a few things to announce. I am very sick, so I might cough up a lung during the show. I'll try to keep it away from you guys as best I can. But before
Dips
we
on
kick
the
this
juicy
off,
bit.
Huh?
Dips on the juicy bit.
Hey, I'm trying to embrace my inner.
I thought he said dibs on the juicy butt. And I was just like, oh my god.
Right, so I'm trying to embrace my inner dark me. Yeah, we all know that they have only one lung.
Weird.
So before we kick this show off, let's go and have a look at what happened this past week. So obviously on November 7th, we did a stream with Co-Carnage. Showing off and talking about the progress that they've been making over the so-called dark period. It was the first reveal of seeing some of the progress made by Project Faithile. They also showed off some of the UI elements for the perception system, with the wonderful artwork of the concept artists, and yeah, it was a really good show with Co, and that was on the 7th. Also on the 7th, Bascom did a Pantheon watch party of sorts, reacting to, you know, obviously the stream, what we saw. And on the 8th, Pantheon Plus did a recap as well, talking about the stream, and this wonderful man that's joining us today was co-host there. So that was what's happened last week. What's coming up in the next couple of weeks that we know. Next week, Pantheon Plus will be joined by Def from Battle Axe Theatre on the 14th. Their topic is still to be decided, but that's definitely happening on the 14th at 9 PM Eastern. And then on the 21st of November, VR officially kick off the bi-weekly newsletters. So that's happening on the 21st. I think 6 PM Pacific time is when they will be hosting their show. So, let's get into it. Loxxulus, welcome.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And it's really weird. I've been wanting to be on a Pantheon talk show for years, and I've now on 2 within 48 hours. How strange is that?
Good stuff. That's when you know you're a hot commodity.
Exactly.
I just want to talk about Pantheon.
Well, you know, you already know that you've got you're wearing a t-shirt there that has a higher value now, because I called it, right, Pantheon revealed their new logo.
Yeah.
So people that bought the shirts off the store, you know, prior to the reveal, they are now holding true rare items that you will never ever see again.
Yeah, I got a t-shirt and I got a mug, and I'm really happy that I got them. So, but I really like the new logo more. So, but I'm keeping the shirt. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So so those that purchased prior, maybe you have to reach out to VR, see if you can do a switcheroo or something like that for an extra couple of dollars if you want a new one.
You'll find it all.
Say again, Josh?
I say you're going to find it all on Amazon and places like that.
Yeah, eBay, $8,000.
Yeah. $500 for a mug.
Right, so Lex.
But they're not making much money at that point.
Let's kick the show off before I really do cough off a long. I'm getting there. It won't be that long. It's going to happen today during the show.
We'll see. Well, I'll start things off. Lox, my friend, can you give us a little insight about your gaming background?
Yeah, gaming background. I have been a gamer my entire life. I mean, as young as I can remember, I was playing Mario on the NES and with Duck Hunt. Do you remember that? It was
Hell yeah.
Game. It was awesome. And then I have been playing games all my life. I found a friend of mine who loved RPGs also, and when we were kids growing up, we would have sleepovers every weekend, and we would have 2 TVs side by side, and he might be playing PlayStation, I might be playing the Nintendo 64, but we would play side by side. Sometimes we'd play a game together, of course, but that was just like really normal to us, playing with each other, but separate games. So it was kind of strange. And then one day, he said, "Hey, I got a new game. It's called EverQuest." And this one was played on the PC. And he played it. He was so excited for it. And he's like, "Yeah, watch me play it." And I thought it was boring. I thought it was way too slow. I wasn't into it one bit. And that's all he would play for a long time. And then I just didn't understand the hype around it or the excitement around it. And then he said, "No, listen, I want you to sit down in the chair and I want you to play the game." Because let me tell you this, playing EverQuest and watching someone play EverQuest are completely different experiences. So he said, I want you to sit down in the chair and play it. And so I'm just, fine, I'll play this EverQuest or whatever it's called. And first thing I saw, wait a minute, character creation. What is that? Oh, I get to choose my race. And at that time, the coolest race was the dark elf with, I like the contrast of their dark blue skin and their platinum hair. It was really cool. I was like, oh, I get to choose my class. And then, some classes were restricted by race. I thought that was really cool. And so I made a dark elf Shadow Knight. And I thought it was so, I felt unique because there were other races, there were other classes. And, I thought it was so cool having those abilities that the Shadow Knight had, the life tap. And I played for 5 hours in a row. My first time sitting down with EverQuest. I thought it was amazing. So the problem was I didn't have my own computer, so I always used my friend's computer, and I would try and hog it as much as I could. So some years passed, and I didn't have a computer. I wanted to play EQ1 and EQ2. I didn't have a PC that could run EverQuest, but I had a PlayStation 2. And there was a game, not many people know about it, EverQuest Online Adventures. It was MMORPG for the PS2. The PS2 had an Ethernet port adapter on the back of it. You used a USB keyboard and you used the PlayStation controller. The keyboard was to chat, PlayStation controller was to move, and then they had some hot buttons on the controller and stuff like that. And I played EverQuest Online Adventures for 7 years, almost daily. And to this day, it's my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, whenever that's a pretty common story of a friend got me into EverQuest.
Yeah.
And the sad part is I was that friend for a lot of people. Except you the way you describe it, it makes it sound very, very friendly, very nice.
Yeah.
I would turn around in my chair, bloodshot eyes, disheveled hair, pizza crust on my desk, be like, you gotta try this. First taste is free.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
So on my side of the story, it wasn't so much of a fairy tale. Oh well, we can see from your face cam that you do have quite a well put together gaming space or office space, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Would you mind describing your computer setup? Because I know a lot of people take pride in that.
Yeah, so this is where I stream, and I always have my cactuar from my favorite game franchise is Final Fantasy. Behind me, I have a big poster of Sephiroth and Cloud, and then I have some lights in front of me as well as behind me. And my PC setup, I actually DM'd Brad McQuaid about 3 years ago. And I said, hey, do I need to buy a computer, or is this coming to PlayStation 4? And he messaged me back and he said, yeah, it might come to console a year or two after we launch on PC, if it makes sense. And so I said, okay, I'm going to build a PC. So about 2 years ago, I built a computer, and I built it so I think it can handle Pantheon. I have a NVIDIA 1080 Ti graphics card and some other pretty good stuff. But this is where I spend most of my time when I stream, when I game, all of that. So.
No, I gotta ask, you actually bought the components and built the computer yourself?
Yes, and I was very nervous to do it because I've never done it before. But I thought, you know what? I want to challenge myself because I had no idea how to build a computer, and I thought this would be a really good learning experience. I was cussing a lot, I had to take some parts back because I wasn't using PCPicker.com to, make sure all my components match. But it was a really good learning experience, and I finally got it, and then pressed the power button, and it worked, and I was so happy. And now I can, like the other day, I just added 16 more gigs of RAM, and okay, now it's pretty normal, and I'm very familiar with it now, and I'm really glad I did it. Yeah.
Nice. Then you, my friend, get +1 to Lec Rep, because people that actually choose to build their own PC, you deserve a little respect in my eyes. Even if you don't know how and you go about it, you deserve the respect.
Look at all these cheap shots trying to up their host with the most value here. I mean, look, everybody trying.
Hey,
Oh my word!
I was talking to Lox in Discord before you were, so I got this one in the bag.
Alright, so moving on swiftly. What has been your best and worst moment in an MMO?
Best moment in an MMO, that game that I mentioned, EverQuest Online Adventures. On my server, I got the first full main tank of Khazak-Thul as a Shadow Knight, and that was a big moment because the Shadow Knight goes first, tanking, because Khazak-Thul has a death touch. And so, as soon as he hits the death touch, boom, the warrior, with all his HP and AC and resistances, picks up that aggro and then finishes the tank. But there's a very, very slim chance that Khazak-Thul won't death touch, and I survived. And it was a big moment for me and all Shadow Knights that I fully tanked it. And then my guild was like, oh, well, maybe a Shadow Knight can tank other big mobs, and I did. And then that really increased my love for the Shadow Knight. So that was my best moment. My worst moment, someone spread word that I was a lying thief. So I had a guild member come up to me and say, hey, can you transfer these items to 2 wands? And it was normal. Like, I do transfer for my guildmates all the time. And these were very rare and powerful wands at the time. So I said, sure. So we did the transfer. And I said, okay, I'm going to log off this character, log on to my other character. Because in EQOA, we didn't have shared bank. So you had to have someone else do a transfer. And so he logged off his character, and it'd probably take 2 minutes tops to do the transfer. So when he logged off, I got up, I walked to my kitchen, I get a glass of water, and my phone rings. And this was like 15 years ago. I was working retail at the time. My phone rings, and it's my boss. And I'm just like, oh, what does my boss want? So I call, and he says, where are you? You're supposed to be at work 30 minutes ago. And I'm just like, I checked my schedule because, oh my God, I got my days mixed up because my shifts were all different every single day and week. And so, oh my God, okay, I'm on my way. So I run into my room, I change my clothes, I brush my teeth, I turn off the game, I get into my car, and I'm racing to work. And as I'm driving, I go, oh my gosh, I was mid-transfer. And so I had the entire work shift. And it was on my mind the whole time. And this was before Discord. This was before smartphones. And I didn't have a way to contact this person. And so it was on my mind the entire, hours that I was at work. And so I get back home, and I'm thinking, like, this is my guild. He's going to understand. Like, all I have to do is explain. And I have all this mail. He messaged the entire guild. Locke is a thief. He's a cheat. He's a liar. Do not trust him. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, my reputation is ruined. But I had a good reputation. Mm-hmm. And so my guildmates replied, this does not sound like him at all. This is very unusual. Let's just be patient. Wait. Let's see what he says. Let's see what happened. So I got back, and I had to explain to everyone but the window that this happened in was so, like, how are they going to believe me? This is such a slim window where this happened in. Anyway, I transferred back his items. Everyone in the guild understood. They trusted me. They believed me. But that guy who asked me to do the transfer, never asked me to do an item transfer again for some reason.
Yeah, it's so strange that you gave him
Yeah.
back 2 weaker ones as well. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, he got the items, so, you know, you explain the situation. I would have been like, you know, hey, you know, real life happens, don't sweat it.
Exactly. I mean, that guy was just wigging out for no reason. It was ridiculous. Anyway, but what is your take on the MMO genre at the moment? Are a lot of people disenfranchised, and are you one of them?
I think a lot of game studios try to appeal to everyone. And if you look at Visionary Realms' approach, it's Brad McQuaid said this game is not for everyone. It's going to be slower paced. Strategy and tactics are going to be more involved, and I think they are definitely going in the right direction, and it's a little bit more, you know, of that niche market, the niche audience, and I love that. I like the strategy tactics, slower pace, more difficulty, more you know, death penalty is going to be harsher. So I like that. They're going in the right direction for me, and I don't care what those other game studios do with their games.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's nice when you have like a slower paced game. You can socialize more. There's a lot more. There's a lot more personality to the game as well. When you're hanging out with your friends and you're, you know, planning out where to go, or you're trying to think about strategy, how to engage in encounter. It's just a lot more fun to just sit there and relax and, you know, think about things rather than all these high-paced action combat games.
Right.
Yeah. So, do you mind sharing where you are in the world?
Yes. I am in New Jersey, USA. I moved here about 1 year ago. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia my entire life. My now wife, I got married 3 weeks ago, but when she was my fiance, she got a job in New Jersey, and I was able to transfer with my job to New Jersey. So here we are.
It worked out, eh?
Very nice.
Nice. So let's go and talk a little bit about Pantheon, shall we?
Yeah.
So when and where did you hear about it first?
I've been following Pantheon for about 5 years. I first heard about it back in 2014. There was a YouTuber that he would do game reviews. His name is Boogie2988, and I followed him because I heard him talking about EverQuest Next. And so, he, you know, talks about EverQuest Next and stuff like that. And then one day, he interviewed Brad McQuaid. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Brad McQuaid, he's the creator of EverQuest. And so Brad McQuaid, let's see, I think April 14th, 2014 is when this video came out with Brad McQuaid, this interview. And so, you know, he's the creator of EverQuest. And then he talked about a brand new game called Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. And so I've been patiently waiting for 5 years so far.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very nice. So, what was your initial reaction to learning about Pantheon there?
Initial reaction, so in that video, Brad McQuaid was talking about player interaction and the emphasis of a group-centered focus. And to me, that is really fun, that is important. He said that if you have no reason to talk to another player, then you probably won't. You'll probably just pass them. But if you have a reason to interact, whether you're doing some sort of trade skill exchange, or if you're doing just grouping is going to be more central in Pantheon compared to a lot of other games, right? So there's going to be less soloing, it's going to be more group centered, and so that really caught my eye, and that's really sounded like something that I wanted in an MMO.
Nice. Right, so you've obviously played quite a few MMOs. What is the biggest difference between Pantheon and the other MMOs that have you the most excited?
Yeah, so like I said, the group-centered focus was like, that's, oh my gosh, that is number one. Number two, it's not catered to everyone, and I'm totally fine with that. I don't want a game that's made for everyone. I want it to be what I like, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be slower paced, so you have to rely on strategy and XP. And the quadrinity, whatever. That was one of my favorite things when I played EQOA, because EQOA had 4 people per group.
Yeah.
Not 6. There were 4 people in a group, and so it was very quadrinity, whatever you want to call it. So I was the tank, and then you had to have a healer, and then you had to have a DPS, and then you had to have a mana battery or whatever, what was the 4th. So I really like that, and I'm glad Pantheon is really focused on that.
Cool.
Very cool.
Before I go to the next question, all I'm going to say is, Discord, please fix your Linux client for the love of God.
Yeah, it was a little choppy there.
Yeah, chopping and dropping and...
I was going to ask, are you running Linux?
Yeah, and it's been fine up until this last update. So, Discord, please fix your shit. Sincerely, Lexer. Okay, moving on. Which of all of the races for Pantheon has caught your eye the most?
I think ever since day one, I was decided on the Ogre Dire Lord. And so I love tanking, and the ogres are big and they're ugly, and I want to be a big ugly beast when I'm tanking. So definitely the ogres.
Nice. So with the ways that current MMOs have kind of done character creation or basically just characters in general, do you think it actually matters anymore what race you pick and play?
There are the min-maxers that wait until the racial innates are revealed before they decide, but I was on a call a couple days ago and people in the chat were saying, no matter what, I'm going to play a dwarf cleric, or no matter what, I'm going to be a Darkmer wizard or something like that. So I think people know what they like and they stay with that.
Cool. So if there was a race that you could do without with, which one would it be and why?
Human.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before that I'm a human every single day. So in a fantasy MMO, I want to be something fantasy, and to me, an ogre or a troll or an orc, I like to move to those, but I like to be something fantasy. So I could do without the humans.
Hence the fantasy. Yeah.
Humans suck. I know. I play one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's overrated.
We ain't really human. We're just playing one.
So moving along to the classes, what class do you plan to start with at the beginning of Pantheon?
Yeah, I really miss my Shadow Knight from EverQuest. And looking at the ability list, the Dire Lord looks somewhat similar. So I'm definitely going to start. Well, 99% sure it'll be an Ogre Dire Lord for my class. Now, a long-term goal of mine is to have a toon, another character that can fit every role, right? So if my guild if we're short on healers, I want to be able to jump on my healer, right? So that's a long-term goal. I know it'll take quite some time, but so yeah, I want to have a tank, I want to have a healer, a crowd control, and a DPS eventually.
Cool.
Yeah. Very cool. So, talking about the actual leveling within Pantheon, what type of structure would you have in terms of your class? I.e., would it be top-down, branching, or flat? That type of reading.
So for leveling, I like to eventually have to make some sort of choice. So let's say I'm with the other ogres in our starting city. Broken Maw? Yeah, Broken Maw.
Yeah.
Let's say, and there are 15 ogre dire lords. So I want to know what's going to set me apart from the other ogre dire lords, and it's going to be a little bit down the line when we all level up, and maybe at level 10, level 20, level 30, level 40, 50, we have to make a choice between 2 or maybe 3 abilities, and that way we all have the same racial innates, right? We all have the dire lord spells and abilities and skills, right? But at maybe every 10 levels, we have to make a choice. Maybe this is going to be a defensive buff. Maybe this is going to be a situational buff. Maybe this can used anytime, something like that. And that way that separates us. But I really like stuff like that, and I hope we get that.
Very nice.
I'm going to make this one a two-parter. First off, I'd like to know if lore of a game is important to you, and secondly, if it is, which racial lore that we currently have to read is your favorite and why?
Lore is on the lower tier of importance to me when it comes to playing a game. I feel like I can get lore from, reading a fantasy book like Lord of the Rings or something like that. But when it comes to a game, I think gameplay is the most important thing. And when I think gameplay, I'm thinking grouping up with other players. We all have unique skills and abilities, and I need to focus on which ability am I going to use for this dungeon or, whatever we're running. So gameplay is definitely at the top of the importance, and lore is at the bottom. And then what was your second? Which race?
Which race lore is your favorite and why?
Yeah, I think the Darkmer have a really cool story. I don't like swimming underwater in video games, but I think it's really cool that they have the kingdoms in the water, kingdoms on land, and there were these ancient battles of giant leviathans, and they battled so hard that all the kingdoms on land and in the sea were destroyed, and that's really cool. I would like to see that.
Yeah. Now, I think I know the answer to this one already. They have revealed a few signature NPCs over the last few months with the old newsletter, the non-video newsletters.
Right.
Which one intrigued you the most?
Okay, well, I had to write down his name because it's a little hard to pronounce. Arak Amel or something like that. Yeah, he's an ogre. In his background, he's like mysterious. That's cool, but I really like how he looks. He looked really fierce. He didn't look like a traditional. Like I was trying to pinpoint just from his armor. He can't be a warrior? Is he a dire lord? Is he a shaman? I don't know, because his chest is bare and he has these really cool bracers and gloves, and I think he was holding either a pole arm or some sort of spear, and he looked more like a monk. He looked kind of like an ogre monk, and he just really stood out to me. So yeah, I think he's my favorite NPC revealed so far.
Nice.
Cool.
Let's go talk a bit about mechanics. So, the current mechanics that we've seen from Pantheon at this stage, are you happy with the way it's progressed, the way it's going?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to mechanics, they keep on mentioning the quadrinity. They keep on mentioning the groups centered focus, because I love having my role, and my role is important. And then the other mechanics like acclamation. I mean, that's really cool. We've all played games with resistances. Yeah, and then they mentioned in the last stream, they gave it a little bit more details on the perception system, and I like how it's the history of your character. If you interact with an NPC or an artifact or something like that, it knows. I mean, the game knows everything, what's in your inventory, NPCs you've talked to, monsters you've killed, all of that. So I think I'm loving all of the mechanics so far for Pantheon.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait till we see the weather.
Yeah,
that's going to be a big one.
Druids are going to be happy.
Yep. And actually seeing the perception system in its full fleshed out, that's going to be so awesome to see. So let's go and talk about a very touchy subject a bit. It's more like a hot topic, the economy. So how would you like to see the in-game economy handled? Do you prefer a global auction house like most games do? Or would you like to see it city-based auction houses? Or, back in the old days of EverQuest, people find a spot that is suitable and they put up their wares there and put themselves up for sale.
Yeah, so in-game economy is really important to me. Auctioning things was one of my favorite things in EverQuest online adventures. I think number one thing is probably group up and grind, then raiding, and then auction house. So I really hope they take the approach of universal auction house, not local. If I have to run to 9 different starting cities to see what they're selling and what they're buying, I'm not going to like that. Maybe they might do the 2 major continents. Maybe there's an auction house for King's Reach and then one for Rainfall. But I hope it's not separated. I like seeing what items are selling for, who's buying what for how much, any sort of patterns. I used to write down prices and stuff like, oh, this sold for this, and then I would buy low, sell high. I would, if I looted a level 32 necromancer helmet while grinding, I would look for level 32 necromancers. If I can't sell it on my auction, then I would try and sell it to them. So in-game economy is really important to me, and I hope it's global.
Okay.
Very nice. So within the mechanics, do you feel that the current mechanic system will enhance Pantheon? And these include like your environmental system, weather system, and perception system per se, or will it limit Pantheon in the long run? And how do you see them working together?
Yeah, so in a few of the streams, we saw that it's a really long, not corridor, maybe like a bridge.
Yeah, bridge.
And it has the icy screen as you get closer, and that keeps you from moving too far if you're not supposed to be there. So I think the acclamation system, it'll stop you saying, hey, you're about to get into some pretty deep content here. If you can't get past this, then you don't belong here. So I like that. I like making sure you have the right resistances, the right gear, all of that. I think the weather system is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the druids, because if there's probably a percent chance of a lightning storm occurring, right? Might be like a, I don't know, whatever percent chance it is. And if there's a lightning storm, druids get bonus to most of their abilities, something like that. I think that those little things are really cool. Yeah, I love that.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. Let's move on to some trade skill stuff here. I'm curious what your view is on trade skills, and I'm also curious if you tend to actually do any trade skilling when you play MMOs.
I was never really big into trade skilling, so when I played EQOA, I became a weaponsmith, and I took the time to level my weaponsmith skill, and I never used one of my weapons. I always found a better weapon while grouping up and grinding. When I'm making my way to the top level 50 or 60, whatever it was at the time, I always found something better out XPing or in the auction house, and I never even used my own thing. And then when I got to the highest level, you had the epic abilities, so I never found a use. So that kind of killed trade skilling for me. When it comes to Pantheon, I'm going to be an armor smith, and I'm going to sell every other plant or piece of wood that I get. So I'm pretty excited to be a blacksmith, armor smith in Pantheon. But
tanky stuff.
Yeah, for the tanky stuff. But I kind of have a little bad taste in my mouth when it comes to trade skilling. So
Okay.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. So, what purpose do you think trade skills should serve in an MMO? And more specifically, what purpose should they serve in Pantheon?
I don't think you should be able to have the best armor or the best weapon or jewelry from trade skilling a lot. I think that should come from while you're XPing in a group, improving your abilities, you use those skills that you learn and take down a very difficult raid mob, right? So I think that's where the best gear should come from. I think in Pantheon, I think it's going to be really useful being the what do you call them? Not the chef, but making food, making drinks, and using some alchemy. I can see those being really big and being really useful. But and then if I'm going to be provisioner, thanks. The armor smith, I can see myself as an armor smith making situational gear. Like maybe my armor has if I'm killing casters, maybe my armor is lower AC but has higher HP on it with some resistances. Or if I'm in, the Frosty Mountains, I'll have some cold resistance, frigid resistance. So I plan on making situational gear, but I want the good stuff to come from hard raid bosses.
Oh. So, let's go and talk a little bit about content creation.
Yeah.
So, do you stream on Twitch or YouTube, or do you plan to?
Yeah. I'm on Twitch. I started streaming back in January of this year. I stream a lot of retro RPGs. You can see around me I have Final Fantasy stuff. So yeah, I stream a lot of RPGs, and I'll be a full-time streamer when Pantheon comes around. So if you want to watch me on my Ogre Dialord, check me out on Twitch at Loxxulus.
Nice.
I'll be there.
Loxxulus.
So you kind of hinted at the second portion of the question.
Oh,
Basically
yeah.
telling us about your channel. So, Josh, lead on!
Lead on, oh,
I get to save my voice. I'm really trying here.
Right. So what made you get into streaming in the first place?
Okay, I thought streaming was the dumbest thing. Like a year ago, I did not understand the hype around watching someone play a game or letting someone watch you play a game and trying to be entertaining. The only streamer I watched was Carnage. Back over the past couple years, because he would stream Pantheon, right? The VR went to him. Hey, you have a big audience, free advertising. That's fantastic. So I would watch him, and the chat was always just spamming. You couldn't read anything, and I didn't understand the hype around streaming a game, whether being a viewer or being the streamer. And about a year ago, I've been in a guild for 2 years now, a guild for Pantheon. That, it's weird being in a guild for a game that is not even out yet, but I am.
Tell me about it.
Ain't that weird?
Yeah, and one of my guild members, Surfer Dave, he would say, "Hey, I'm streaming, this game, or I'm streaming just to chat. If you guys want to hang out." And he's like, "Hey, Loxxulus, do you want to come?" And I would always be like, "Oh, I have to go turn off the lights in the other room. I can't." Yeah, like I had no interest in watching someone play a game or doing any of that. But I finally went one day, and people in the chat were having fun. He was hilarious. He had really cool stuff in his stream. It wasn't just watching someone play a game. It was more like a bunch of friends hanging out and talking to each other and having fun. And so I kept going to all of his streams, and I kept having a great time. And my perspective of being a viewer completely changed. But I still said I would never be a streamer myself, because I don't want to have to, entertain stuff and do any of that. So about, let's see, I started streaming in January. So early January or late December, I was following closely this brand new game. They were about to release their alpha, and I was so excited for this game. I wanted to get into the alpha so bad. And then this studio, it's not Pantheon, obviously, they said, "Okay, you can get into the alpha if you are a Twitch streamer." And I'm just like, what? Because they want that free advertisement. So here, play our awesome game that's in alpha. If you're a streamer or content creator on YouTube, whatever, then you can get into the alpha. Blah blah blah. And I realized that I missed an awesome opportunity because I wasn't a streamer. And so I'm just like, oh man, okay, I'll try it. And so anyway, I've been a streamer since January. It is my favorite hobby, and I have met so many awesome friends doing it.
Excellent. You have alluded to it already, but will you be streaming Pantheon? I guess you will be.
That's it, Pantheon. Yeah.
So
yeah, as an Ogre Dire Lord.
With Pantheon comes a whole new level.
So a minute ago, the screen kind of froze, right? And I'm gonna have to send you that image later. I'll screen capture it later.
I think I saw it.
I've got your new stream thumbnail, man. That was awesome. That was
great.
That was an awesome spill. You're like,
great. Yeah, awesome.
Here we go. Yarnilla ruining other people's streams.
Hey!
Yeah, I don't know why it's freaking me up, but...
No, that's part of the VoT, man. That's part of the VoT.
Discord, yeah.
It's not a VoT show without difficulty.
Ever since Discord's last update, things have been real wonky, and I don't know.
But hey...
Well, moving on. Yeah, you haven't crashed yet.
I know. In like a couple of weeks. It's amazing.
But to be fair, you've barely been at your PC for a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, that's true as well.
Do we see a coincidence here?
Yeah. And you've still got both your lungs as well, so hey.
For now.
Stop.
There goes part of one. So yeah, we'll move on. Now, Lux, if someone wanted to get a hold of you for whatever reason, maybe to go on their show, or maybe to, maybe do some kind of joint stream or something, how would they go about getting in touch with you?
I'm on Twitter every day at Loxxulus. I'm on Twitch at Loxxulus, and then some other ones, but at Loxxulus. So yeah, you can check me out there, and I have some more info on my Twitch bio as well.
So there, you heard it, people. Go give him a follow on Twitter. Follow him on Twitch. If you don't, I will find you and I will hurt you. Now, I'm kind of curious. We're getting ready to wrap it up here to make life easy on Yarn. What did you like the most about the last stream with Co?
Yeah, I'm really glad we got to see Project Fairthale. Because, it started out with just the concept art, and now we can see the actual in-game footage, and it looked beautiful. It was colorful. The lighting effects were great. If you noticed, every leaf was moving individually, and I mean, it looks so great, and it looks like a world that I want to be in. And so I think seeing, just even though it was just a few seconds of Project Fairthale, I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. It was really nice to see it.
Nice. So, would you attend a Pantheon type event, and how far would you travel to get there?
I already have.
Okay.
So about a year and a half ago, Pantheon was at PAX East, and I was in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and when I heard this, I got a plane ticket, I got an Airbnb, and I flew to Boston to just because Visionary Realms was at PAX East. And I got to demo the game. I was next to Ben Dean, and I got to pick between like a warrior, a monk, a rogue, a wizard, and an enchanter, I think. And I picked the wizard because that's probably the least likely class I would play. It's probably the least the class I'm least excited about. I don't know. I'm just not too much of a fan of wizards, so that's what I picked because I wanted to see if it would change my perspective of wizards. And I got to demo next to Ben Dean, and as soon as I sat down, Ben Dean said, as soon as I got in the game, my wizard's there, and there's like I think it was just 5 of us in the group. Ben Dean said, okay, let's go. And then him and then 4 other devs just took off, and we were at Black Rose Keep. They just took off, and they left, and I said, wait a minute. And my ability bar, I had 12 abilities, and I wanted to see what they were, right? I wanted to see, and I said, wait a minute, I don't know what these abilities are. And Ben Dean, he just says, okay, you have some fire, you have some ice, you have some arcane, small nukes on the left, big nukes on the right, then you have AoE. And I'm just like, okay. So I tried to, between kills, so we were killing through Black Rose Keep to get to the more difficult areas, and I was trying to hover my mouse over the ability and read what it says. I really wanted to make sure I wasn't going to hit an AoE and aggro, additional mobs and wipe our group. And I wanted to see, okay, this is the small nuke, this is the big nuke, this one takes this much power, okay, that'll be this percentage of my mana, I can use it this many times. There was no time for that. So I just found the small nukes, big nukes. I stayed away from AoE because I didn't want the developer to think I suck and be like, geez, you're thinking about buying this game? Don't,
Yeah.
So but
this
anyway,
game ain't for you, buddy.
yeah, this game, just cut it off right now. Yeah. And so we made it through Black Rose Keep, and it was fun, and the group was doing exactly what I wanted to. The tank was tanking. We had the enchanter doing great job of crowd control. We had a cleric, maybe it was a shaman doing the healing, and I was casting, dropping mobs left and right, blasting lightning, fire everywhere. And
one-shotting them. Yeah.
And it was a quick 15 minutes. It was only a 15-minute demo. And at the end of it, he goes, okay, there's a named mob right over here. We're going to try and take him out. And we're probably going to die. And so I just said, oh, okay, we'll end on a death. And so sure enough, this guy owned our party. And then, that was it. But I got to demo with it, and then I got to speak with Chris Joppa Perkins, and I got to look at Brad McQuaid. So that was cool. He was busy doing stuff, and I couldn't talk to him. But Yeah, it was awesome. So, yes, to answer your question, I flew from Atlanta, Georgia to Boston just because Pantheon was at PAX East.
Nice.
Brilliant. So, fast forward 3 years. What do you imagine Pantheon to have evolved into?
I think it's going to be the game that people doubted at first, doubted a small team of developers, and people are going to say, whoa, this game is the real deal. It's, and I think crowds of people are going to want to play the game, and people are going to realize in a few years that this is the type of game an MMORPG is supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to play, and I think people are going to love that about what the new MMORPG is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Nicely said.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, close your eyes, scrap everything that you just talked about. There's only one question we really want to hear on this show. We really want to answer for on this show, right? So, who is the VoT host
Kiss up.
with the most?
Yeah, well, that's easy. I think, and that's why. So, there you go.
Get that, guys?
No.
No, I didn't catch that.
I didn't hear that.
No, I will answer. You know what? I've been wanting to be on a Pantheon talk show for years now. Yarnilla invited me, so that's who I'm going with.
We can't be friends anymore.
Okay.
Oh well.
Oh well, hey, it had to happen at some point,
Got to give the sick a chance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
It's that shining ray of hope before he dies.
Which is about to happen.
See, he died.
Excuse me, everybody. I'm sorry. Anyway, that wraps up our Q&A for this week. Lox, it was fantastic having you on.
Yeah, it was awesome being here. Thank you so much for the invite.
Circumstances weren't any better with my health.
I feel better.
fighting this freaking flu, man. So, quick reminder of what will be happening next week. Pantheon Plus.
Stuff and things.
Pantheon Plus will be doing a show on Thursday at 9 PM Eastern with Death from Battle Axe Theatre. The topic is still to be decided, so keep an eye out on their Twitter feed or on their Discord to figure out what they'll be doing. And November 21st, VR will be officially launching their bi-weekly video newsletters. We can all look forward to that at 6 PM Pacific. Next week, the VoT will be doing another player Q&A. We'll be sitting down with Chase Masters, the guy who created the Facebook community group.
The new one.
The new one. And we'll be sitting down with him and chit-chatting about that and getting to know the fellow and introduce him to the community and talk a little bit about Pantheon. And we'll see you all then on that Saturday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully by then I'll have my voice back, because I am literally grabbing the words, trying to get them out of my mouth. I think you can hear I'm losing my voice, man. It's terrible. But anyway, I'm off to go play some poker now. So have a great weekend, everyone. Lox, again, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks
for having me.
We'll see you guys all next time.
Take care, guys.
Be safe,
All right.
everybody.